Hey, Rocky. I should have tested my mic out while I was in that screen. It's all good. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Benjamin, Benjamin, Benjamin. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Man, what a stream from Thomas, man. That was a powerful one. It was really like it's one where you can tell everyone was kind of like exhausted, but also like there was a lot that had to be hashed out. And I think especially when that honest guy popped in there, I think things really blew up. That was a good time. All right, we gotta go ahead and get this link figured out. Boom, 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 boom. I think it's settings and invite. I'm gonna drop the link. Mercer. We're gonna get just Mercer and Chud in here first. And we might honestly might just do the stream just between the three of us. Just we're just gonna start with Chudean and Mercer right now, guys. Yo, Mercer.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for calling in, man. We're gonna get Chudean in here real quick. Chudean.
Yeah,
Oh, what's up, man? Dude, yeah,
nothing.
good. That was a hell of a stream, honestly. Like it
Yeah.
was yeah, it was a powerful one.
Hey, what did I miss?
So do you know that YouTuber Honest Guy, Mercer? Just type in like Honest Guy BP, like write out the word BP. It came up for me. He's like a 2.2K sub channel or something like that. He has like that what's that cartoon that his profile's from? I don't it really it was like a
Zager, Zim,
yeah, yeah,
Zim the
Zim
Invader.
Invader Zim. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he called in and he was, on an environment like Thomas, talking about here. He's openly like a Zion Williamson, and he was openly a Care Bear and stuff. And
What's
it
a
was
Care
just
Bear? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit
basically a
confused on.
J.
Okay,
Yeah, a
okay,
J.
This
okay.
is one of the
Yeah,
all
I just
stars.
yeah,
Is that
but
like a new term you've created? Because I kind of
uh,
like it.
it's honestly from the Martin Goldberg channel. He uses it a lot. I just like it. I think it's a little more settled than just even
Yeah,
J. Yeah, so
I like it. That's a good one.
yeah, I'm gonna stick with Care Bear. It'll catch on.
Incel Zionist Rabbi. I thought that guy was actually. I thought that name was a meme, but apparently it's an actual rabbi.
I don't think he's an
Huh.
actual rabbi, is he?
Well, I mean, he was dressed up for it. I don't know if he's going for the gig, then
Yeah,
I'm
Jesus.
impressed.
Yo, Mercer, you wanna get into it a little bit? I got some questions written out for you actually, because I'm just a fan of your videos. I feel like just anyone else, so I want to kind of pick your brain a bit on stuff.
Yeah, sure. Flattered. Yeah, go ahead.
So first thing that really caught my interest was you kind of talk about kind of like a new reformation of the dark capsule or being a refiner of the dark capsule. Can you elaborate what you mean on by that?
Uh, well, what I noticed was there was a lot of stuff that just gets thrown out, and also a lot of stuff that gets repeated over and over and over again without really any analysis. And um, I was finding that our guys, when we were arguing with people that disagreed with us, if we were not on something that was just completely empirically proven beyond the pale, we would just get demolished because people would come in with much better data and more clear information. Like a good example of this would be the 80-20 stuff. Strictly speaking, that's not what we actually see in dating. We don't see 20% of guys taking 80% of women. What we see is like 20% of guys taking maybe 1.5 times what they should be. And then there's an impact on each level down, you could say, that makes it like snowballs the competition as you go further down the, I guess you could say, the point scale, from 8 out of 10s down to 4 out of 10. It has this, like, it's the effect is the same, but the phenomenon is different, and people get caught up in that. So that's where I started with the informatics guys way
I,
back.
I think I think the 80-20 rule kind of sounds more ridiculous than if it's presented in the way that Mercer was talking about it with the 80, 1.5 times as much. I think that sounds much more kind of accurate.
Yeah, yeah. And even then, I still didn't think it was a good enough explanation because I remember I was looking at the different stats to try and figure out what was going on, and I came across this stat that said 51% of men aged 18 to 29 was excuse me, hang on just a second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no, you're fine, man. Take your time. And
I think
whatever you,
massage
yeah.
to him.
And I just want to like give him like some space and some time to talk about what he's got to talk about. Um, but yeah, guys, really interesting channel. Go check him out. He's Dark Pills with Mercer. He should come up, and he has that same avatar he has here on stream. Really enjoyable stuff. He's put out some like really unique perspectives on things and ways we got to think about things if we ever want to see any kind of, I think, like
Yeah, sorry about
forward
that.
momentum. So yeah, yeah, keep going about you were talking about like the 1820s, and I just want to give you like, you talking
Yeah,
about
so
refining the
I
dark
came across
capsule.
this yeah, so I came across this study that said 51% of men aged 18 to 30 in the US were single compared to 30, I think it was 33% of, or 32% of women. And I thought this
Right.
doesn't make any sense. Like, how do we explain this? A huge discrepancy, and we didn't see the same discrepancy in the other age brackets. And that's where I came up with the ideas that I talk about in my demographics bill.
Hmm.
And that's when I was like, okay, we got to start refining these ideas and create a coherent worldview that explains what we're dealing with, because we have a reality on the ground that is completely different from what everyone else is either telling each other or what people that are in different stages of life or different age demographics, what they um, what they tell us we should be experiencing. You know, so it's
Right.
like
So
we have all this like raw data, this raw experience, and we have to hammer it down with actual facts and present, okay, we know how we feel, like what we're going through, like we have the raw experience, we've got to hammer out why it's happening. And that's where I got the idea that this is like, we got to refine it like we refine an ore, and create something that's solid that we can use to actually win arguments instead of just complaining.
Yeah,
right.
because that's one of the main gripes against us, or one of the main counters, I guess, saying you guys don't really do anything. You guys just sit around and complain. And I guess one of
And
the ways that could be kind of beaten is by kind of having more concrete arguments as to why we're not actually just sitting around and complaining, but we're actually coming up with not only not only interesting and new ideas, but that our efforts would be futile or some kind of fashion like that.
And I think part of the issue is like, as entertaining as someone like Fuentes is or something like that, he's just not a realistic figure to get any kind of like gain any ground around or anything like that. Even though we were talking earlier in the stream, and I totally agree with you today, and about how, even when you get a quote GF or whatever, she almost acts like a de-radicalization agent in your life. Like, really, and I've noticed this too, right? I kind of maybe, I I've really I get deep in the conditioning, right? And this is in most of my long term. It was interesting, like being in the LTR, like before the dark capsule and after the dark capsule, and then especially around like this last election season, um, and stuff. So, but yeah, as much as he says things that are interesting or correct and stuff, he's just not someone realistic. I think that we would get any kind of tangible progress around because we can just instantly be demonized because of the just the powers that be and the kind of like institutional we have to win everyone's vote, right? We can't put the genie back in the bottle with that, I don't think. So, I think the way to gain ground is to kind of just refine things.
I
Yeah,
think
you have to sound perfect. That's the problem, right? Like you have to, if you f up one thing in terms of whether it's how you present yourself or how you sound, like if it sounds like you're coming from a place of like emotional, upset, even if it's completely legitimate, just from an objective point of view, to be pissed off about what's going on, this will immediately discredit people in your eyes, which is really bullshit, but that is how it is. So that's why I try and be as like you might have noticed. I don't sound robotic, but I sound like I'm presenting like
you have like a
TED
clinical
Talk.
kind of
You know what I mean?
explanation. What the fuck just happened?
What was that?
Oh, oh my!
It's over.
Is this
What?
guy dead?
Damn, they got him. Yo, they figured it. They were onto us this whole time.
The Care Bears
They
have
took him
finished
out.
him. Oh my god! What the hell just
You guys
happened?
still there?
Oh man, that's funny.
You guys still there?
I don't know. I caught a little bit of
Yeah,
the
man, I got
stream
soda
before
bottles
I
and
had
shit all up my
messaged into.
shit. Man, my fucking
I don't know. It
setup's
was interesting.
disgusting.
I have a feeling that Thomas White would probably not agree with most of my takes, but it would be interesting to have a
Yeah.
talk with him.
Well, Thomas White, even though if he doesn't agree with you, he's still like an amicable guy. But which is I guess I kind of find him different than a lot of the Wignats, which are kind of like pretty abrasive.
Yeah. I have a difficult time because I have certain ways of thinking about certain things that I know if I state the way I actually believe things are, they will immediately get emotional about it and they'll get angry, and it's difficult, which means I have to try and sort of slide my ideas in a way that's presentable without actually losing any of the material behind it. You know what I mean? Like I had this
Yes.
issue with Tails. He was kind of mad at me for a little while. Actually, I have this funny thing. He's in Medican's server. He was like, "Are you a Jew?" I was like, "Oh shit, it's another Holocaust. He got me. Being kicked out of 109 servers."
What?
No, it was because of the video I made criticizing white nationalism from the perspective of inkwells.
Broomstar, what happened there?
Man, I got jumped by the Mossad, dude.
What happened there, Bucko?
No,
It
man,
sounded like
it's just a living with parents cell moment.
Made it
That's
out.
all, man.
it
Yeah,
sounds like
I
you
got
played it on.
westerned.
Yeah, it sounds like some guy like hit your head against the desk and like slid it across, knocking off all the cups.
Well, it was. I kind of like. I hope it was good audio cover because hopefully no one heard too much of that. Not that it was like a bad thing to just randomly be shouted on stream, but it
We just
wasn't
heard
ideal.
Yeah, that's well. It sounded like you got like jumped.
I mean, I don't know. I rapidly unplugged my because I was like, okay, the massage is coming. And my fucking like I had to like I have all these like soda bottles and shit that fell.
All right,
No,
so
but
where were we before?
I think you were
Yeah. By the
discussing
way,
about
just so you know, it
tails.
sounded to us like a thud, and then you hit the
Yeah.
ground or something.
Yeah.
That's why it was so jarring. We're like, shit.
It was so
God.
abrupt too, like out of nowhere.
So Dark Souls was mostly
But yeah, me and Mercer were discussing about Tails and his recent kind of spat with him.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was wild. I think my
Well,
thing was
it
I
wasn't
watched
even really a
both
spat.
videos.
Like, we're fine. I think you misunderstood me.
I watched both videos, and I feel like in that one video that he was critiquing, I feel like he glossed over that part at the end where you talked about the Johnston Reed Act, or it's called like the Immigration Act of 1924.
Yeah.
And I think that's
That's
interesting
how I
because that was like a real piece of legislation that it brought in mostly like Northern and Western European immigrants over like other, other people. So it was like, can you elaborate on that? You think that's like a real piece of legislation people could maybe push for one day? Or
because okay, like I would try and sell this to Democrats actually. Republicans maybe it would work, but what I would say to Democrats, I mean, when I say Democrats, I mean the Bernie Sanders types, or the what's that guy's name who's
Chang,
you're
sort of
talking about Andrew Yang, probably,
yeah,
right?
Andrew
yeah, like
Yang.
there's Andrew Yang as well, but there's also another guy who's an old school bread and peace Democrat who's really come out against the culture war stuff. He's more of a streamer and stuff. He's not really he's not actually like on the Democrat official team. I forget his name though. He's a slightly older guy. Anyways, old school bread and peace Democrats. They're about like hardcore cultural stuff. I would tell them, you're in a situation where whites in the United States feel an intense anxiety about being displaced in their own country just due to migration. Okay. Now, at the same time, the backlash that could potentially happen from them could threaten other ethnic groups, like, for example, Hispanics or Asians or Blacks, whatever, like all these other groups that would then feel threatened under let's say, a resurgent nationalistic, like white nationalist movement in the United States, that they would feel under threat from that. It seems to me like a really good compromise would be look at the 1924 Immigration Act as a model, but just customize it to the modern day situation and adapt it so that you say, okay, we're going to tailor the immigration system to ensure that the population proportions of the American population remain as they are now, and that so that the white percentage won't go down or up. It'll just stay where it's at, and we're going to tailor the Immigration Act around that. And what that would effectively do, because there's very few whites that are immigrating these days, it would effectively almost eliminate immigration, right? And which is the main issue I've talked about in my demographics bill, or not my demographics, excuse me, my economics
Do you,
video.
you know the Trump cells or the Trump loyalists? Do you think they would maybe be able to get behind something like that?
They
No,
could, but the problem is you'll never get any kind of concessions on economic issues from the Republicans. The conservatives and economic right wing, they will never concede to anything that they would see as socialism, and that this includes anything that benefits workers.
yeah,
Immigration is even a vague one because they like talking about illegal immigration, but they do not like talking about legal immigration that threatens the interests of workers, because they'll say, well, are you afraid of the competition? Like, we want to bring in the best people, we want to make the winning team, we got to beat China. They'll say crap like that. You
Yeah.
never win on
I totally agree with the
economic
things you said
issues
about.
with the Republicans.
Well, the Trump Wignats might agree with you on the immigration thing, but yeah, most Trump supporting people wouldn't do that.
No. Well, it's like this is what you have now with Trump is, staple the green cards to passport, or what was it? Staple the green cards to
a college degree.
diplomas. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was even doing the 2-year college diploma. It's like this guy. You guys don't share a border with us. You don't see what a disaster this has been for us.
Yeah.
What do you think
It's been
about
a
him
total disaster.
advocating for? Sorry to interrupt. But what do you think about him advocating for birth rates with IVF?
It's just a pie in the sky. It's never going to happen. Like the main issue is you cannot convince. The only way that you could get women to conceivably increase the fertility rate is just straight up paying them. You'd have to pay them. And in fact, I think just giving them a straight up, like, okay, we'll give you $30,000 a year every year for the entire up until your child is an adult, if you stay married to the man that is the father of the child, unless there's some at-fault reason to separate from him. Like I would make that a deal, or even like 40,000. And the thing is, that sounds insanely expensive, but if you consider the percentage of women of fertile age in the United States, and you consider the fact that you could actually be doing something productive instead of boomers just rotting on their pensions until they die, it's a much more productive investment than Social Security, And this would actually, and the best part is it would get women out of the workforce, which is the main issue. Like women, the reason why women are not having children is because they have to choose between having more than like one child, or maybe two at most, and their economic independence. And they do not want to be dependent on a man economically. It doesn't matter how much they think that man might be great. It's just like women, I think people underestimate how rational women are. Like even women themselves don't realize how rational they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I totally get that. We have just different idea processing. We have different approaches to ideas and problems in our brain structure. Definitely, there's something to be said about like the hunter-gatherer argument of just that's built in us, neurophysiology and our deep in our biology, and because one sex maybe participated in more like hunting type activities in the early days, one sex participated more in the gathering activities, it may be affected outcomes of that, and we are still, that's why we enjoy fatty foods, salty foods, we're kind of slaves to our genetics still. Those are once rare
Well, you
nutrients in
see,
old society, and now they're not so rare, and we're kind of
yeah.
overdosing on them.
Well, you see, women are obsessed with safety, right? So women will basically choose safety over everything. I think we've seen that demonstrated quite a bit. So,
Well, they would choose independence. Like they do not want to be put into a situation where they lose, because once you have to put yourself in their shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like like if a woman is given the option of being in complete control of her whatever she wants to do, and then you say, well, we need you to have babies, but this means that you are going to be tied economically to this man, and therefore you have to please him and keep him satisfied with you in order to maintain the relationship. I mean, at that point, you're going to lose all women. They're just not going to be interested,
Yeah.
And yeah, there's like huge cultural issues too. But I mean, even then, you see this across cultures. Like birth rates are collapsing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's the same issue everywhere. Like none of these, like you talk to Muslim women, like I have Iranian friends, and in Iran, ironically, when the Islamic Revolution happened, it was actually quite a liberal revolution. Like the universities were open to women, the workplace was open to women, whereas under the Shah it was not. And you see the exact same problems there. Even though it's technically an Islamic theocracy in theory, in practice, it's Iranian women are not interested in surrendering their independence to their husbands.
Yeah, because if you think about it, having children with someone and financially depending on them basically for the rest of your life is a very big risk, and women are all about safety, like anti-risk. So
Hey, someone's saying I'm cutting out. Am I
you're cutting out
lagging?
a little bit, but
Is
for the
it
most
Yeah, I
part,
like
think it like it lag spikes, but then you can finish your sentence. So it's maybe like a lag. I don't think you're like cutting. I don't know. What have you noticed him cutting, Chudean?
he's cutting a little bit for me, but generally I still understand what he's
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
hang
yeah.
on just a sec. I'm gonna see if I can maybe switch
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
see if I
Feel
can
free to feel free to make a change, hop back in there,
switch my
whatever.
router. Yeah. Canadian internet's absolute garbage. Like most things in this stupid country.
I'm reading some chat here. See if anyone has any good chats. People, people are just hype.
See, I gotta be careful because now that I know that Chudean is from Canada as well, like this could quickly turn into a bitch and moan about Canada Fest.
Yeah, man. We're I'm a
Oh
Midwest
yeah.
cell in the U.S. Mercer. I don't know if you're free to like region disclose, like keep it, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm not near the Midwest, but like I've been down in New York. That's about as far as I've gone. New York
Yeah,
too, and I've
that's
also flown to Florida. I've never been in the
same with
Midwest, but
me. That's the farthest I've ever been into the US. Um
Midwest is a lot like Canada. You even sound like us though. That's brutal.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how inkwelly our accents were until I heard my accent played back to me. I was like, damn, we really
Yeah.
do have an
A
accent.
bit of a bit of a voice cell, man. The thing is, like, I definitely grew up in those like MW2 type lobbies, those old Call of Duty lobbies where
I
people
used to
just
get fucking
talk shit
blasted.
openly and stuff. So, um, I don't, I feel like I don't really got to like worry about what people say too much. And yeah, I've been called like a voice cell ever since, I'm like 11 or 12 or whatever.
It's over.
No,
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
you just develop
Do I
thick
sound any
skin,
better, by the
you
way?
know.
I just switched. I just switched my network.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I think it does sound better. I
yeah,
haven't noticed any cutting
better.
yet or anything. So
No,
Okay.
I used to I used to play
thank you, Judas. That's very kind chat.
Among Us? There was a Fortnite version of it, and during the pandemic I used to play it because I had no one to talk to. So I used to play just to get like human connection, right? And everybody thought I was either fucking from like Boston or they thought I was like 12. It was so weird.
You thought you were from Boston or that you were 12? That's a very odd one.
No, it's because I used to have the the thing where you can't pronounce your R's, like the fucking r- row road,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You
right?
mean like young sort of? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I'm just sorry. I'm just getting a private chat here. This is the first time I've used StreamYard. I'm not really into streaming.
Yeah.
Thanks, Incel Zionist Rabbi. I appreciate it. With all the commentary about how Iran was modern and enlightened nation. I mean, there are positives and negatives about that whole situation. Actually, you know what? But I would love to do a video on Chosenites because I think I have a pretty interesting opinion on them. But I already know that A, I couldn't put it on YouTube, and
I think
B,
the thing I'm
I
really
would get into,
fascinated
I
by,
would get into trouble with a lot of
um,
different people. I think.
and that would be a really good. I love hearing like topics on those kind of stuff. I was even talking to today, and I was even gonna read the Martin Goldberg dude's. Like, it might be like paid propaganda, but I just want to see what.
Well, you know what annoys me is that. So I don't know how much you guys are aware of the, shall we say, the Semitically aware right wing, and who like the founders of that circle in modern times is, but is generally seen as a guy named Kevin McDonald, who is he was a professor at I think it was a university in California. He was like professor of psychology, and he wrote some excellent books. And the thing is that like all the OG J pillars would reference him and as like an authority, but they would never actually cite the books. Like they would never bother to read his books because they were kind of boring and academic. But when you actually read the books, you realize that it's not anything like what a lot of like the stuff that you read on Twitter right now. It's quite a little bit different from how it's portrayed, And I'm actually tempted to do a video where I talk about it, that sort of stuff from Kevin McDonald's perspective, and then not reveal that it's Kevin McDonald's perspective, and then see if anyone calls me a Chosenite because I don't have the exact same interpretation as they do. And I'll have to point out, actually, the interpretation I'm giving is from this guy who's like the OG, who literally wrote the book.
No, I don't.
So,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think even
It could
if
be interesting, but
I think even if you showed them that you're using the original interpretation, I'm sure they'd find a way to say, "Oh, that's a Care Bearish style of arguing. So obviously, therefore, you must be a Care Bear."
well, it's the thing is that then I have actual Care Bears that tell me that I'm obsessed with Care Bears and
Yeah.
that I'm crazy and etc. So
No,
far, I haven't actually been called an anti-Care Bear yet by them, but
no, but that's this is the problem. It's like you can never win. You can never win. Like
I think they realize that it's getting kind of played out.
yes, as I've said, like Weston Klein said this. Basically, the entire problem with the the kind of online right wing is there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Everyone spends like the entire time like bickering with each other 24/7. Every new day there's some kind of beef. Every new day there's like people are spending their like spending their finite time on this planet making like another goddamn black spinning sun like Nick Fuentes hanging dead in the background edit. It's like there's 5 of them. It's like you spent your hard-earned time making this, or they're making like fucking like I enjoyed the anti-wife jack memes, but it's like you spend your hard-earned time making like fucking Pepe taking a shit popsicle and stabbing wife jack in the head. It's like what the fuck are these people doing? It's like they spend more energy and more time bickering with each other than doing anything productive.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's the personality types involved. A lot of people, because in order to have these kind of beliefs, right? You have to be
Kind of like antisocial
you
person.
have to have a certain element of antisocial personality, which I think, by the way, is not a bad thing. I think it's like there's a reason why these archetypes exist, right? Or like why these personality types still exist now, even though we know that there could be bad elements to it, like very bad elements. It's obviously adaptive, or it would have gone extinct by now, right? But the downside is that it makes people very disagreeable. And see, this is it's like the reverse problem that leftists have. Like leftists, and I'm talking like the mainstream soy leftists, are super cooperative with each other and agreeable with each other. But this also makes it so you can't actually challenge anything or critique beliefs because none of them are willing to do that. And especially when there's a lot of women-heavy communities, because women just can't stand. Like women hate confrontation and they hate disagreement. So, but we have the opposite problem. It might even just be because we're all dudes, right?
Yeah, we
It's the
seem
sausage
to
fest, So
we
you get a
seem to
bunch of
like
dudes
love
together. Just
we seem to like love the confrontation for some reason. And
did we just lose Broomstick?
Broomstick's been taken out.
No, he's been taken out again, eh? They heard us talking about them.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a new euphemism.
Yeah. Do you watch any sports? I know that's kind of frowned upon and in the circles, you watch the sports.
I've never really been much of a sports guy. I've had other people drag me to watch sports. Personally, not really been that into it. Yeah, I wish I was, because I could actually, I could be a little more normie pilled, I think. But
yeah, the only sports I kind of enjoy are like combat sports, because I don't know, I kind of feel like it's more like personal. Like I don't feel connected to like LeBron James, but when I see like my favorite fighter, who I've like DM'd them and they've like responded to me multiple times.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sweet, we're back.
Yeah, what's up?
when I see
Yeah,
like my
yeah, we're decently crash proofed at least. We're streaming on a separate laptop, so
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, these things happen, right?
yeah. No, but I was just talking about how kind of an off-topic tangent about sports, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
sports
sports
ball.
ball.
Wait,
Wait,
I
I
kind of
kind
want
of
to
want to
chat it
shut
up
it up
about
about
sports
sports
ball.
ball.
Dude, I
Dude,
was
I was
watching the
watching the
Thomas
Thomas
White,
White,
and they were
and they were
talking about
talking
like
about like
Bill
Bill
Belichick,
Belichick,
Shannon
Shannon
Yeah.
Sharp, and
Sharp,
I
and
was
I was
like,
like,
bro,
bro,
when
when
do
do
inkwells
Inkwells
care
care
about
about
this?
this?
Like they
Like
know
they
it
know it
happens.
happens.
Like
Like
when do
when do
they
they
care
care
about
about
this
this
stuff?
stuff?
And the
And the
thing is,
thing is,
like,
like
I
I
like
like
that
that
too.
too.
I like
I
that
like that
tea
tea
too.
too.
So
So
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not gonna
like
like
shame it
shame
too
it too
much,
much,
but
but
damn,
damn,
like
like
when
when
would I
would I
ever
ever
expect to
expect to
stream
stream
into this
into this
stuff and
stuff
they're
and they're
talking
talking
about
about
that?
that?
Like
Like
that's
that's
wild.
wild.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about like how really the only sports I enjoy watching are like combat sports because I know this is probably cringe, but I feel like more of a like I can kind of relate more to the fighter because he's like an individual. It's not really a team thing, and a lot of them aren't really that rich. It's like they're gonna go into a ring alone and they're gonna try and beat each other's brain cells out for maybe like 50K.
Yeah. Well, I like that somebody's been getting into these guys' ears and telling them things about the All-Stars, and now they're I don't know if it's because they've taken a few too many hits to the head or something, but they're starting to talk about it without, realizing that they should keep their mouths shut.
Well,
But it's
fighters
actually
have
great.
always kind of been like a little bit insane.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Speaking of
fighters,
fighters,
um,
um,
let me
let me
ask you
ask you
about
about
what do you
what
think
do you think
about
about
Mr.
Mr.
Tate,
Tate,
Mercer?
Mercer?
Do you
Do
think
you think
he's
he's
like
like
moved the
moved the
culture
culture
all
all
since
since
Andrew
like
Andrew Tate.
2022?
2022?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Tate.
Tate.
I'd
Um,
say he's like a useful idiot, I kind of guess. Funny too, but you know.
yeah, I mean, the thing is he doesn't really. Okay, so he puts on quite a show. Like he's okay. I find him kind of entertaining, just to when you look at him as a bit of a clown, just because he's obviously putting on a performance whenever he does anything. But because just the very fact that he has the presence that he does, and he pokes the bear in certain areas, I think that helps. I've had the same opinion of Kanye as well. Like there have been a lot of people in the right wing that are really pissed off about Kanye because they see him as like this crazy black guy, and Nick is making us all look ridiculous. But the reality is, what Kanye is doing is he's taking a sacred cow, and he's doing what the All Stars used to do to our sacred cows, where he's like trivializing it by making it ridiculous.
He's making it like
You
a
know,
joke.
like all my N words are Nazis.
Yeah. Like
Like this is hilarious. Like he's got like the swastika bling. Like
yeah. Like
I could
now
have
now
never
the
imagined
Nazis
this even 10 years ago.
now the
I
Nazis
couldn't have imagined it.
are seen as like a joke, like a funny group. It's not like, oh my god, he's a Nazi. It's like, yeah, he's a Nazi.
It's some of the I love some of the lyrics, but you can't say them just because
Yeah.
you know. But it's yeah. The thing is, I don't know. You guys are fairly young, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
broomstick is like 20, like late 20s. I'm the only young one, I guess.
well,
Super young
Broomstick,
one.
you're kind of halfway between me and Chudean, then, right? Because I don't know if you remember how controlled discourse was even just like 10 years ago, where I couldn't imagine the kind of conversations that are happening now. Like I couldn't imagine it. It would just be like having a black rapper talking about AH and how AH is his N word, like even as a joke. There's no way, no way. I think he's having some issues with connectivity. Eh?
Dude, they're fucking like they're EMPing his fucking house.
Yeah, they know that this is getting the truth out. They can't
Yeah.
handle it.
Truth nukes. They must
No, but
stop.
it's actually getting to the point now where I'm wondering, like, is there something else going on here? Because they're like Elon is allowing conversations on X that are so over the top
Yeah.
that I'm wondering, okay, is there going to be like a hammer that comes crashing down on these guys at some
Yeah,
point, or is there some other
my
plan?
thought is that they're getting all these guys to like fully expose themselves so that they can basically get them all in one fell swoop. But I
Could
don't know.
be,
I
but
don't even know if that's possible because it's so widespread now. I don't think you can really like stop it fully.
the problem is people are now at the point now where it's profitable to be woke on the Jays. Like it's I like what blew my mind is when you start seeing hot white women talking about the Blue Jays, and it's obvious they're doing it as a career. Now I'm talking about Sarah Stock here, this most recent e-girl that's popped up. When you start seeing them being able to do that as a career move, you
Yeah.
realize something has changed. Something
Yeah.
huge has shifted when you start seeing attractive women do this, right? Because they
Yeah.
they never go near this shit, right?
Yeah.
They don't care about this shit. The
Yeah.
only reason why they're doing this now is because it's lucrative. There's money to be made in it, which tells you there's been a seismic shift. I don't know if there's some sort of I try not to speculate about elites or whatever because I know everybody loves doing that, but it does feel like there's been some kind of huge power shift somewhere that's allowed this to happen. And I don't know what it means.
Well, I think honestly, I could see this as a bad option because do you guys know about the Samson option that Israel has?
Yeah, of course. Um,
If this gets too widespread and pressure starts being put on Israel, I listen. I don't trust Israel to exactly be very
no,
calm with
no.
their response if major pressure gets.
But then the question is, why are they allowing this in the first place? Like, why are they allowing this amount of noticing? Like, especially of all the times for this to be popping up, this is when Israel is facing probably its most existential crisis since 1967. I would
Well,
say
I
maybe
don't think
1973.
maybe it's setting up as justification for their actions, or it's just incredibly unlucky. Okay, they had the Hamas attack, right? Then they over responded, so they had that. Then you had a combination of Kanye going viral, Ryan Garcia, and all these people, Andrew Tate, all at once pushing this message. And then it got latched on. And then you had, Nick Fuentes went a little viral. You basically had a combination of anti Israel protests. You had the basic footage of Israel doing terrible stuff, which no one really likes, right? Like a lot of people, their empathy centers got activated by what Israel was doing. So that left them vulnerable for the messaging, which also happened at the same time. So either this is terrible luck or this is some kind of like plan which serves as justification for someone's future actions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does seem that way. Um, I'm just trying to think because okay, this is something I've thought about for a while, and this would be going into the video if I ever do make it on the blues. Um, because people think that Israel's foundation and also the victory of the blues in World War II, that these two things were directly connected, and I personally don't believe that.
Wait,
Um,
excuse me. Broomstick, your mic is echoing.
Okay.
How
How
bad
bad
is
is
it?
it?
Benjamin.
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 Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Let me know. Is it pretty much fixed now? Benjamin. Benjamin. Care Bear. Care Bear. Benjamin.
Okay.
So you were saying, Mercer?
Okay, well, if you actually read about the history of Israel, the Zionists were actively courting the National Socialists right up until near the end of the war because they wanted to join the war on the side of the Germans against the British. They wanted to fight for Palestine and take it there. And the only reason why they wound up on the other side of that war was because of how it went. And of course, the Germans didn't want to side with them. They wanted to side with the Arabs because the Arabs were larger population, right? So that's just the first part. And the second part is that after the Germans were crushed in World War II, that because that basically handed all of Europe and half the world over to communism, the entire world was basically locked between whatever the United States was supposed to represent, which even they didn't know what they were supposed to be, and communism. Like anything to the right of the United States was then officially discredited.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you were to use a mental test or whatever you want to call it, like a mental hypothetical of like imagine if Israel never came into being, they would be in a situation where they would be completely unstoppable because the only reason why everybody is noticing now is because of Israel and the total hypocrisy of how Israel is able to act, and also the parasitic relationship between Israel and the United States. And this exposes the entire Jewish community. Sorry, the entire blue community. Sorry, the entire blue community to criticism, right? Whereas if none of that existed, they could be consistently left wing without any hypocrisy, any perceived hypocrisy, because this is how they were prior to World War II. They were seen as supporting subversive ideologies, and this was provoking a right-wing reaction, and the Blue Jays would side with the left against it. Israel's existence just completely threw wrench in it because now they're trapped between these two groups.
Yeah.
Do
Like
you
imagine
put Israel on the
before.
left, and do you side with the third world,
Yeah.
or do you completely discard the leftist ideology that you've spent decades upon decades crafting your victim identity around? Like the victim identity, because post World War II was all about creating this category of like genocide victims.
Yeah.
And
Like,
historical victimhood.
Yeah, Tracy, when you know how when Israel was created, the Care Bear massacre in 1973 became really popular, even though before then it was a relatively unknown event, which the event which may or may not have been real or not.
Yeah, that is funny. I remember one time when I was quite a bit younger, I worked at a used bookstore, and we got an encyclopedia from 1960s. And I remember looking because I heard rumors that you couldn't find that word in the H section, and lo and behold, it was not there. And this was the late 1960s. But even that aside, like that was a big, like they really hyped that up largely because of Israel. Because Israel, after its creation, you have to understand it was a settler colonial state. Like it was a settler colonial state, just like South Africa under apartheid. It was the exact same concept. And as a result, they were on the wrong side of history after World War II because that entire model of civilization was discredited.
Yeah.
It was discredited with the Soviet Union winning because now the Soviet Union could represent all of the oppressed peoples of the world. And America was put on the defensive there because what were they going to do? Were they going to side with the imperialists, and therefore the third world would align fully with the Soviet Union? Because that's what happened. Are we having issues with sound?
I'm here. Check chat. Check me out on sound. I'm closed chat, so it's just us the boys right now. You guys.
I can hear you guys fine.
Yeah. I think I fixed every. I'm broomstick no echo now, so it's like a new evolution.
Yeah, there's no issue.
Like a book of thunder.
Yeah.
Yo, Mercer, I really want to ask you about oh, I had a really good topic. Man, I'm just really not. It's one of them late night streams. Um,
Yeah, there are guys saying that you want to restart the stream. I don't know. Maybe you should try manually turning your volume up and seeing if that makes any difference.
all right. How am I doing on voice now?
I think you're doing fine. Maybe is this something I can do on my end?
I can hear everyone, okay, but
Yeah, looks good on my end.
Yeah, it's showing me 5 dots for the microphone.
go check it out. 1 second. You guys can put for 1 minute.
Automatically adjust my voice. There we go. Is this better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So
Dude,
It
it's
sounds like
kind of
crazy exaggerated.
like I wouldn't say that it's like nothing. Like I'm not one of those guys. Okay? What I would say, like I'm a big fan of David Irving, and he was really demonized early on, despite mostly corroborating the mainstream view in a lot of ways. The main issue that he disagreed with was the intentionality. Staple the green cards to hospital. And the question is, why are the use of certain methods of execution?
Yeah, like, dude, like in those testimonials, they were saying that the gas released from the incinerators were different colors depending on what nationality.
Yo, yeah, I can confirm there's been audio issues, probably just for like the last 5 minutes, like major ones. Yeah, we could restart, but I'm down to just call it here too. All right, yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna go ahead and kill stream then.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's a shame. But I mean, this is what you